Okay, let's talk about a word you've probably heard a million times in business software: optimization. It gets thrown around everywhere, promising to unlock massive efficiency and savings, especially for something as complex as staff rostering. But here's the real question: is it an actual breakthrough, or is it just a fancy buzzword? Well, we're about to find out. Let's get into it.
I bet a lot of you have felt this pain. You invest in some new software that promises the world true optimization, and then the results are just kind of underwhelming, right? So what's the deal? Is this the most powerful tool you could have in your arsenal? Or is it just marketing fluff designed to get your attention? In this explainer, we're going to unpack the huge difference between a simple improvement and a solution that is truly, truly optimal.
So, first things first, let's get on the same page. What does optimization even mean? The official definition says it's the process of making something, like a system or decision, as fully, perfect, functional, or effective as possible. And that one little word, fully, that's everything. It sets a super high bar, a standard that, honestly, a lot of so-called optimization tools don't even come close to meeting.
And that really broad definition is exactly where all the confusion starts. Because making something better can mean almost anything. The term optimization gets thrown around very, very loosely. Let's take a look at what that actually means in the real world.
This quote just nails it. You could sit down with a pen and paper, look at your old rosters, shuffle a few shifts around, and technically, yeah, you've optimized it. It's an improvement for sure. But it's totally limited by that one person's gut feelings and what they're used to. It's a tiny step forward when what most businesses really need, and are paying for, is a giant leap.
So the next step up from that, of course, is technology. A lot of vendors will tell you they use AI and machine learning to build their rosters, moving way beyond those simple manual changes. But the real question is this the true optimization we've been looking for?
See, this kind of AI approach usually works by digging through all of your past rosters, all your historical data, to predict what the next best roster should probably be. So, in reality, it's a very sophisticated, educated guess that's based entirely on what's worked in the past. It's just spotting old patterns to suggest a likely good result. Okay, this slide breaks it all down perfectly. On the left, you've got prediction. That's the AI looking in the rearview mirror trying to find a good outcome. But over on the right, that's mathematical optimization. This approach doesn't guess. It uses hardcore math and all of your business rules to generate every single possible roster. And then it identifies the one provably optimal solution. It's the difference between a really good forecast and a mathematical guarantee.
This mathematical approach is what we can really call true north optimization. It's not about making a few tweaks to yesterday's plan. It's about discovering the absolute best path forward out of a universe of possibilities.
And this isn't just some marketing gimmick. It's powered by some seriously heavy-duty math, using techniques like constraint programming. Now, don't worry about the names. Just think of it like this. You're feeding a supercomputer a massive, complex puzzle. The puzzle pieces are all your rules: staff availability, pay rates, legal stuff, you name it. The engine's job is to solve that puzzle, finding the one and only solution that fits every single one of those pieces perfectly. It's a level of precision that just guessing or predicting can never, ever match.
So that kind of begs the question, right? Why are most rosters so far from this mathematical ideal? Well, because, as this quote points out, they're built by people. And we humans are creatures of habit. We tend to build rosters based on the way it's always been done, and that just bakes in all of our biases and stops us from even thinking about a fundamentally better and usually cheaper way to operate. Okay, let's bring this all down to earth for a second. This isn't just some academic theory. The gap between a roster that's good enough and one that is truly optimal has huge real-world consequences for your business. When businesses go after true optimization, these are usually the big reasons why. We're talking about unlocking serious financial savings that you can then reinvest back into the business or your people. But it's also about cutting down on compliance risks and getting clear, centralized control over your entire operation. And on the flip side, the consequences of getting this wrong are pretty severe. As you can see here, the biggest hit is just the direct cost. That's half the problem right there. But not far behind are major compliance risks and a poor customer experience, both of which can do some serious damage to your brand.
So, how do you actually cook up one of these mathematically perfect rosters? Well, it's kind of like a recipe with 4 crucial ingredients. First, you need all your legal agreements. Second, you got to capture all those unwritten business rules. The stuff that usually just lives inside a manager's brain. Third, any little differences between your sites. And fourth, your big picture workforce strategy. You pour all of that into the math engine, and what comes out is a precise, totally data-driven result. All right, so now that you know the difference, how do you cut through all the noise from vendors? How do you turn their buzzword into your benchmark and make sure you're actually getting what you're paying for? It really all just comes down to this simple idea. Don't take a vendor's word for it. Any claims they make about optimization have to be backed up with real, measurable, and provable results. So here's your playbook. These are the exact questions you need to ask. Straight up, challenge them. Can you test your system against our current roster? Then ask them to show you the money. What is the potential return on investment in actual dollars? And finally, hold their feet to the fire. How are you going to benchmark the results to prove it works? Don't let them off the hook with vague promises. Demand proof. If you take just one thing away from all of this, let it be this. A mathematically optimized roster isn't just a small improvement. It is a fundamentally different and way more powerful solution than anything based on old habits or predictive AI. So that leaves us with one final, really important question for you to think about. Take a good, honest look at your own operations and ask yourself, is your current roster just good enough? Or is it truly optimal? And maybe more importantly, how much money, time, and opportunity are you leaving on the table by settling for good enough?